Story 1. I worked as a park ranger for a few summers. It was a great job, but the downside was dealing with the public. I have tons of crazy stories, but only one extremely creepy story. I was scheduled to close the park one night with another girl. The park opened at dawn and closed at dusk. The closing duties were to drive around and make sure everyone was out of the park, then close the gates. You had to make sure everyone was out or else they would get locked inside. Kristen and I got into a truck together to check the day-use picnic area, both campgrounds and all bathrooms. When we left the upper lot, there were no cars in the parking lot of the ranger station. Important later. We cruised around, checked all areas. All was good, so we drove back up to the gate and ranger station to close up. I got out to close the gate and jumped back into the truck. Kristen pointed out that while we were gone, a Jeep had parked in the parking lot. We thought this was super weird since we hadn't seen anyone parked there earlier, but whatever. We parked the truck a couple spots away from the Jeep and got out. We figured we'd just tell the person to leave, and then we could go home. As we approached the vehicle, we could barely see someone sitting in the driver's seat. We had dim street lamps, so we knew someone was in there. I waved, got no response. No movement. Kristen knocked on the window. The person didn't respond. We both started feeling like something was wrong. I got chills standing there, and we both stepped away from the Jeep, alarmed at the lack of response. We both decided to go get our boss, who lived across the street on site. We weren't supposed to bother him at night, but this was too weird. He got his shoes on and walked over with us. As we were crossing the street, we saw the door to the Jeep slowly open. Then all three of us saw a figure creep out of the vehicle and crawl underneath. All we saw was a shadow since there wasn't a lot of light. All of us were scared shitless. It was something out of a horror movie. Kristen got on the phone with the police while my boss and I slowly approached the vehicle. My boss told the person they needed to leave and that we were calling the cops. We could see someone sitting under the lifted Jeep near the front tires. The person wasn't moving or responding. Once the police showed up, they were visibly freaked out too. They had guns drawn and everything. It turned out to be some person tripping on meth. We had no idea why they showed up at the park or what they were doing there, but the cops did find drugs and a loaded gun in the vehicle. After that night, my boss changed all policies regarding closing duties. He added extra closers and we had to carry mace. It was truly terrifying to witness someone creep out of their car and scramble like an animal underneath. It was like she was possessed. Story 2. I feel like this is less creepy and more scary dangerous. I was in bed in my apartment with a girl I started dating. I hear gunshots, incredibly loud, very close. I tell her to get away from the window and roll out of bed, completely naked, grabbing my rifle and laid down below the window. Like I'm going to engage in a shootout or something. I'm an idiot. Time passes, and I see the light from 2 flashlights against the window. Not sure if it's police or someone else. I still waited, still naked, listening. Eventually, I can tell it's the police. I wrap myself in a blanket and go out on the balcony to talk to them. They told me the shots hit the wall maybe a foot away from going through my window. My bed wasn't right next to the window, so not really dangerous, but creepy. Another night, same complex. I was going for a jog around the outside of the complex, and I was coming around the front entrance. The complex had one of those islands out front, where there's an area with a patch of grass, the sign for the complex, some bushes and a light post. It's dark and the light is on and only illuminating the area right below it. As I'm coming around the front, I see a dark silhouette of a man shambling down the street like a zombie toward the light post, and toward me. Hunched weirdly, limping, dragging his leg kinda. My instinct is to run, but before I do, I see him step into the light, and it's just a black guy with a puffy coat on that's hanging off his shoulders around his back with no shirt underneath. Obviously not a zombie, but looked cracked out of his head. So that makes me panic even more. I feel the impulse to break out into a full sprint, but then, in the back of my mind, I didn't want to look racist. Like, oh no, black guy, run. Maybe he'll get offended. Also, I was exhausted from the run, so I still sprinted, but tried to make it look like I was still exercising, like keeping good pace, posture, good arm movement, etc. I took the side door instead of the main gate. The door is broken and won't lock. I hear the door close behind me and then hear it open a moment later. He's right behind me. Then I just full-on panic run up 2 flights of stairs into my apartment. Again, I'm not a smart man. This was years ago, but something about the moment scared the hell out of me and I thought I'd share. Story 3. When I was probably like 13 or 14, I was walking with 2 friends my age, and their little brother who was like 12. We were leaving a shopping center that was like maybe 300 feet straight behind us to head back to their house. The road we were on was one over from the road they lived on, separated by a large apartment complex. We were walking on the right sidewalk, and ultimately our destination was to the left. That is when your stereotypical creeper van pulled up behind us and started following for a few seconds, well below the posted speed, just pace matching us. Me and the two older brothers exchange looks, but don't look back at the van. The younger brother doesn't seem to notice. The van then speeds up and pulls into the next driveway, blocking the sidewalk. Then a guy opens one of the side doors and starts to get out. The three of us are already crossing the street, but the guy asks, "Hey, you know where I could buy some ice?" And the little brother starts heading to him to answer. We yell at him to get his ass across the road, and I yell something to the guy about how there is literally a supermarket back the way he came. Like you could still see it. The little brother was confused, but thankfully reacted to us and ran across the road to meet us. We dipped into the apartment complex and walked most of the way back in the middle away from the view of either road or the parking lots, waited a bit, and then continued the block or so to their house. Whether ice was a ploy to lure young boys into a creeper van, or if he was looking for meth, not common in the area, especially not with young teens, I'm not 100%, but either way it was not a conversation we were willing to have. Thank you for joining us on this journey through these chilling encounters. Remember to stay safe, trust your instincts, and be prepared for anything that may come your way. Stay vigilant, and may your own life be filled with more tales of triumph and resilience. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.